Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sean Andrew and this is the video about my top 10 new TV shows of 2011. Now I do give these in alphabetical order just not to show too much favoritism and also because certain fanboys go kind of crazy. Now I guess this is what you would call a prequel, as I hope to have a fully fledged show up and running by the end of January, maybe no later than mid-February, but I'll explain more about that at the end. Now on to the top 10. Alphas. Now, this new series had me a little nervous at first. I really felt as if it was going to be a live-action X-Men, and which to some extent it was. I mean, you have the generic powers. One man has super strength, one woman can push thoughts, one person has a very strong sensitivity to smell, another person has the ability to have extreme accuracy with whatever he does. This is great and all, but for me, it was a bit slow in starting. Giving it the benefit of the doubt as being a new series, it still felt a little bit slow, but the last 4 to 5 episodes, they really did kick it up. They put in a whole bunch of extra alphas. I felt that the acting was really good. The graphics were really nice too for what they were putting into the show. And when it's all said and done, they left you feeling fulfilled. It was not like some super strong cliffhanger like some other shows that just like, we're obviously coming back, so we're just going to leave it like this. They left you knowing that this was some type of ending, but there is something more that can happen in another season. So, Alphas for me, definitely on the list. Can't wait to see more. American Horror Story. This series, hands down, has to be one of the best series I've seen in a while, especially creativity-wise. It feels like one episode of The Twilight Zone just stretched out over a whole series. They really do flesh out the characters. They also find a nice way of balancing the past story with the present. When you know more about the characters, you'll understand what I'm talking about. They also keep this level of twists and turns with the story, which I feel really helped to push it, because if you ever watch anything like Law and Order or CSI, they always lead you down one path for like 97% of the episode, and then the last 3%, it's like somebody's grandmother's goldfish killed somebody. And it's just, you have no idea how they got to that point, and sometimes it just feels like you're getting cheated. This way, every twist and turn helped to push the series more and more, which makes me glad to hear they're continuing for season 2, though it does make me nervous because they're changing the actual location and they're changing the cast. Allegedly, maybe a few may stick around, maybe in a separate role, but overall, it will be an overhaul done. I hope this doesn't downgrade the series in any way, but guess we'll just have to wait and find out. The Chicago Code. This series had a lot of high potential for me, mostly because of Sean Ryan, who did The Shield, also created this. But even with that, I feel that's the same thing Fox thought as well, because to them the views weren't really there. They're grasping for straws, because I felt that if this was on FX, it probably would have done a lot better. Bigger networks want those 15, 20 million views for each episode, or to them it's not any good. This one had a really good storyline, and even for how they closed out the last episode, every single character got some type of final action. You didn't really feel like anything was on a cliffhanger, but again, they could have took this to FX and actually expanded upon it. So I guess that's just one of those cop shows that ends up biting the dust earlier than need be. So I guess we got to see what Sean Ryan will be up to next time. Falling Skies. This series is one of the only series in my top 10 that really misses the mark on a lot of things. You have a rebel teenager, not original. Parent looking for child, not original. Army trying to take over everything, not original. Some people causing more ruckus because they can't handle the situation, again, not original. And the classic, aliens taking over the planet. But it's because of the aliens. It is these creatures that actually captivate me the most. And if you see the way the first season ends, I hope they go into maybe the planet where the creatures came from and more in-depth information, because I don't feel there's too much you can really push with some of these characters. More people probably want to find loved ones, so on and so forth. But to me, this definitely stars around the creatures. I want to know more about them, and I hope they really push that envelope. Game of Thorns. This series that had like a $50 to $60 million budget did not lose my interest at all. From beginning to end, the acting was great, the story pieces were great. I even loved how in the beginning of each episode, how they would show the world and how the map of it would change as new areas opened up. And it kept you watching. You know, usually that's when you fast forward through some of the stuff just to finally get there. But even the opening had me captivated. And waiting a week in between each episode became more and more frustrating. But again, it was one of those series that I could definitely see sticking around to do. They have 2 new locations that they're going to be shooting at for the second season. So I know they're definitely going to be pushing the envelope. I hope they keep the production value around there, because now anything less would be almost a disservice to the whole series. I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens. Homeland. Now I have to admit, at first I was not interested in watching this. It's only because it came on after Dexter that I even care to record it. The whole FBI military terrorist thing, really I'm done with. I really wish people would find something else to talk about. But the acting in this was so superb. I mean, Claire Danes, I'm not surprised if she had a mental breakdown by the time this was done, because this really hit home. I hope she gets some type of nomination, because she put her all into this. It was also nice to see Marina Backerman doing something. I loved her in Firefly as well as V, so that was really good. The ending to this season did not feel like a cop-out. It did feel like we are closing the chapter, but definitely still leaving you wanting to come back, which I will. Even if they do change the time, I will still come back for part 2, because now I am really invested in the characters, and I hope they continue to take this even further. The Killing. Now, hands down, my only true complaint about this series was that it ended. Not that it got canceled, just that this could have been a 22 or 24 episode story arc. 13 was not long enough for me. I definitely was wanting more by the time it was over. And to wait, man, a whole nother year is rough. But the acting was incredible. The lead lady reminded me of Dana Scully from X-Files. For some reason, I still can't put my finger on it. The storyline with the other characters worked. But I will say that does it really rain that much in Seattle, Washington? I mean, I felt depressed. It was so much rain. I mean, I had to grab an umbrella. I started to understand why those kids wanted to kill themselves or sit around and do drugs. That was kind of depressing. But I also felt like that was one of the strongest points. It kept you locked in and day out. It made me want to keep watching that series. Once Upon a Time. ABC does have a hit on their hands, even though I would have actually preferred to see something like this on Sci-Fi. The tone just fits better. But this show has an interesting concept with the twisting of all these fairy tale characters. I mean, you've seen it done before in books, you've seen it in movies, but not really in TV shows to this extent. But that's also what makes me nervous. They've only aired 7 episodes, but Wikipedia has them down for 22. And unlike The Killing, I actually want less episodes. I wouldn't want 22 episodes for this series. 13, we good. 16 to be kind of pushing it, unless they had a huge turn. Each turn so far has been very interesting. It's definitely kept me wanting to come back. But they will need something dramatic to try to happen to really keep me focused after a while. It's good for what it is, but they're going to have to really push the margin. Shameless. This is the second series by Showtime that's made it to my top 10, and with good reason. My pro and con for the whole series, though, is the diversity of characters. You got the drunken father who's constantly trying to run schemes. You got the one kid that likes burning things and watching things melt. You got the one kid that reminds me of an Oompa Loompa. She is just so sweet, but really feels out of place at times. One son struggling with his sexuality, one son that is completely smart and almost can get away with stuff if he just would have did it the legitimate way, though, which is funny. The oldest daughter practically had to be the mother, and she's also trying to balance a relationship as well as working. You got the very kinky interracial couple next door that's dealing with their relationship, and then you have this young black baby who I'm still kind of lost on how he really fits into the family. But again, like I said, my pro and my con are the same. It works to watch these people go through the issues that they go through to hope that they can actually make it as a family is why I keep watching it. So I hear the new season is coming out January 8th. I will definitely stay tuned for that. Terra Nova. This series had me nervous from the beginning. I've heard a lot of comparisons with Land of the Lost, about the graphics not being good as Jurassic Park, which we need to really stop comparing shows to Jurassic Park. There's no need to do that. It's really stupid. It was also talking about how the storyline was an alternative Earth that they were being sent to. So it made them a little bit more free with making decisions with that planet because it wouldn't affect the current people on the previous world. But for me, what really did it was the acting. The acting just felt like acting 101 class. We just got out. Now let's go ahead and go into a show. I think this would have been a stronger series if it was on Sci-Fi. Even with all of that being said, I love the premise. You don't really get a lot of period pieces like this. The possibilities are endless of what could happen, what new creatures they can meet, and because it is an alternative Earth, it still sets itself apart because you will definitely see the unexpected. Now, again, with the budget price and with the viewerships, will it be enough to really carry on properly for a second season? I guess we'll just have to see. I think Fox may cut this at the last moment, but we'll find out. Now, let me explain my whole purpose for doing this while a few of my honorable TV shows that didn't make the top 10 flash across the screen. 2011 was a good year with all the classic ups and downs, but I want to change my pace for 2012 and actually start a real profile or channel, whatever you want to call it, here on YouTube. I have to admit, though, in the past few months, I've really been inspired by people like Philip DeFranco, Alpha Cat, Timothy De La Ghetto, and Day Storm, to really just take that chance, do something different, and see where it takes me. So I'm here. I'm looking to start a TV show review channel and would love to have a co-host. So anyone out there that's looking to take a risk, is not afraid to admit they love watching TV, and at least has a microphone, let's see what happens. When you do contact me, though, please send your name, age, location, maybe your top 10 shows that you like and why, and plus a little bit something extra about yourself. Further information about me will be in the description section of the profile page, not this video page. And I have no idea on how I'm going to actually choose someone, but again, we'll just have to see how things work out. And finally, I do request that only people that are okay with watching all types of shows actually apply. Ranging from Boardwalk Empire to Nikita to CSI to Luther to Walking Dead to Law and Order to Desperate Housewives to Breaking Bad to Haven to The Good Wife to Primeval, The Secret Circle, Harry's Law, Pretty Little Liars, so on and so forth. I just don't want a one-note co-host. Someone that doesn't shy away from watching different types of programs. And by the way, I don't do reality TV shows. Ever. Well, at least that I'm not looking to talk about on this show. We'll save that for a later date. Other than that, I'm Sean Andrew. I wish you all the best of luck and a Happy New Year. See ya.